In this video, I'll show you how to draw a scatter graph and how to calculate the correlation coefficient between two variables. So to do this, I have undergrad survey data again, and let's start with the chart first. Scatter graph. So you come to scatter, so chart, and then scatter is the market scatter, simple graph. And here we need to feed the data into the graph now, so go to select, and we have to start adding the series. So we had first series, and it's actually only one series that we add this time. And give a title to the graph in the name bar, and let's say this is shortest title is better than longer one. So let's say GPA versus salary. And we expect that the person with a high GPA will be earning high salary. So in other words, people who did well in college or university would be earning high salaries and doing well at work as well, and progress very quickly on in the ranks of their job. So we expect the X value to be GPA and Y value to be salary, because we expect GPA as a predicting variable of salary basically. So we, in other words, with the high GPA, or by looking at GPA of a student, we could predict that how much they could be earning, so what sort of job opportunities they would have, what job prospects they would have once they graduate with good grades and good marks. So GPA more or less is a predictor of future salary, but necessarily causing a high salary. Okay, so it's not a causal relationship we're looking at here. We're looking at association between the two. Maybe there is some other third factor that causes both of them to go up, obviously, but then for now we're looking at association, so do not confuse them. But it's important that you put the proper X values and Y values, and there should be logical argumentation for that as well. So let's start with feeding in the data into X value. So this is a GPA, right? So click here, and we go to GPA now. GPA, shift and highlight. So we have 62 students. Now in Y, as we agreed, there will be salary. So it's the Y axis here. I think that's done, and we have the graph hiding behind the screen here. Yep. Now I see this doesn't help us much, because you see this shows a sort of a negative correlation. If you put a graph and line here, it would go race way downwards, and also we don't need this because there's only one sort of pair of relationship we're looking at. So we need to get rid of this space, also remove this space here, then we will be able to see the true association see the image of true association, or graphical analysis of association, in other words. So we need to make sure that the x-axis here start from somewhere 2 or 2 maybe 2.3, let's say, so that this gap will disappear. Rather than 0, you should start from 2.3. So let's click there and go to chart layout, and as this says horizontal value axis, because I clicked here and highlighted x-axis, I highlight, so not highlight, click on format selection and go to select scale, and as we agreed, this would be 2.3 now, not 0. Now you see why. Okay, you see, now we have removed this excess area here without any graphic elements, so graph elements, so we removed that, and we have the skewed or much more better view of the association between X and Y. And also we don't need this distance here, so let's start from 20 rather than 0. So click on here and format selection, scale, not 0 but from 20. Right, that's better now. And also don't forget to put the X titles for x-axis and y-axis. I'll leave it to you to do that. It's usually in the file chart layout and this axis titles function here. Now, to comment on this, you will see that we expect it to be actual relationship between GPA and salary to be positively correlated, but it turns out this is not the case in our data, in our sample. It's actually counterintuitive. It's a negative relationship here. It tells me that high GPAs in general earn low salaries. Students high GPAs in general earn low salary. It may not be true, but it is in this sample true. So this sample is just one-off probably, but in general you expect them to be positively correlated. But here we see some sort of negative correlation, because if you fit a line, this would go this way down, yeah, somewhere this way down, and there is not much correlation between x and y here. The dots, as you can see, are scattered, you know, far from a line. Let's say they are not closely scattered. They are not tightly scattered. Basically, they widely scattered. So we could expect it to be this correlation to have a low correlation coefficient and negative value at the same time. So let's calculate the actual numerical value for correlation coefficient and then see if our intuition about correlation coefficient is true or correct or wrong. So for correlation coefficient for this graph between GPA and salary, we'll hit equal and type correl. So this function here, correl, and you have to enter two arrays here because you're looking at two different variables, GPA and salary. So the first array is the GPA values. So highlight and scroll down, and here we put the comma, and you may have to put a semicolon. So it depends on version of your Excel, but make sure you read the hint here. In the hint it tells me that it has to be comma, so I'll use comma, but in your case it may be a semicolon. But read this before you start googling. And after, if you cannot find the hints, then Google and search for how you input the correlation formula. Right, now hit enter now. Okay, our intuition that the correlation coefficient will be negative is correct apparently, and at the same time we said it will be low correlation, and in fact it is low. So this is negative and it's a low correlation between x and y. Well, this sample is it is a sample specific result, and in intuition is that in general we should have a high correlation between GPA and salary, and a positive one actually, not negative. In this case we expect it to be positive, but this circumstance, when the data tells us that when GPA increases, actually salaries go down, and that is a bit counterintuitive. Anyway, so in this video I hope you learned how to create a scatter graph and calculate correlation coefficient, or quantify the relationship between x and y, in this case GPA and salary. Hope this video helps you to learn about this.